Hey guys, Sean T. Phillips here with a brand new all horror DVD and Blu-ray collection video. Basically what I'm going to do is go through my entire collection of all the horror DVDs, Blu-rays, and 4Ks that I have, go through them, and then every so often I'm going to take one of the titles out, talk a little bit about it. I'm going to be talking about some of the ones that maybe you don't hear about so much. Of course there's so many different ones, so I'm just going to pick out some of the interesting ones or the more obscure ones, that kind of stuff. So let the horror video collection video begin. So now we're going to check out the horror section. Like I said, pretty much everything in here is in alphabetical order. There is some stuff that's not in perfect order, especially near the very bottom, like the very last titles. And also there's some stuff on the tops as well, so I'm going to make sure to try and show those. Pretty much what I always have to do is, since I only have a certain amount of space to work with, I'm always, moving things around and kind of taking some things, putting my favorite things on the actual shelf, and then some things above that don't fit exactly. So like I said, I always kind of have to move things around, and I have a little bit of space down here to switch things around with as well. Now up here though, like I said, we're going to just start off here, and every so often though I'm going to take some out. There are some too, for example, with the Alien films, I kind of have them in the actual main Blu-ray section, because I don't really consider them exactly horror. The only Alien one that I have in here randomly is the one that's, which has never actually come to Blu-ray. This edition, this Alien vs. Predators, the unrated edition, I don't think there's a Blu-ray of that anywhere, in any other countries or anything. Let me know below if there is, but this is the more R-rated cut, because when this one came to theaters, they ended up, cutting it down to be PG-13. Luckily enough, the new Predator film is going to be rated R. But in here, though, there's some real random interesting stuff like ants. This is kind of one of those, crazy killer ants movies. They did a whole lot of Bugs films like that in the 70s. I don't know, I always like that one. This is another one here you don't hear about too much, Asylum Blackout. It was all set in a nut house. And, they had, the blackout of the nut house, and, they were trapped in there with the crazy people. And this is actually kind of a cool movie like I said, you never really hear about too often. And here I have pretty much I think I have all the Animevilles that have been released. I think there might be a couple other ones that haven't been. I'm not 100% sure about that. And here as well, this is one I can't believe is yet to come to Blu-ray, Alone in the Dark. I know there is an HD transfer of this one, because I think they were playing it on IFC or something like that, and it looked really good, so hopefully someday this one ends up getting a Blu-ray release. Always really liked this movie. Very creepy movie. And this one here, this is one I always liked, called Biozombie, and this was the dubbed version of this was kind of like these guys that kind of sounded like Bill and Ted, but this was a zombie movie set in the mall, kind of like a Dawn of the Dead one. And I think this was I believe it was set in Japan, I think. I can't remember for certain exactly where this was set, but it was in this pretty cool mall that this was in. But always really liked this movie, and you never really hear about that too much. And here, though, on the tops, though, I have some, special editions and collector's editions and stuff like that, like Zombie, and up here. So some of the ones you will see not in the actual sections, but they're on the top. Some of them are in here, though, Bride of Reanimator, the Arrow video set, a bunch of different stuff. Another one you don't hear about too much was the TV version of Bad Seed. And there's actually going to be another TV remake of this one, I think in a week or two, coming on soon. And the actual actress from the original one is going to be in it, I think playing a therapist or something. So really interested in seeing that. But the original Bad Seed is probably one of my top 20 horror movies of all time. It's one of those ones I saw as a kid and always really loved it. I kept that sticker on the back because it was when I bought this at Borders Books. Remember Borders Books, because they are absolutely no more anymore. They closed maybe 5 years ago. And in here, though, like I said, I'm just going to show some of the stuff some of the interesting ones that I like, and ones that I kind of maybe haven't talked about in a while. This is actually the second time I've done this video. I did this before, and I got through most of the video, and then the camera, it was really hot in the room that day, and ended up overheating, so I had to go and do the whole I'm doing the whole thing again, because it kind of got all messed up, and I didn't show the top of the shelves too well either. I'm, like I said, pretty much trying to make sure I take time to go across all of them. Candyman is finally coming out to Blu-ray soon from Shout Factory. I can't wait for that edition. I think there was an edition of it, though, on Blu-ray in the UK. But, glad that it's finally getting an American release. Always love that movie. I don't like the sequels too much, though. I have to be honest, I don't know why. I just never really thought they were as cool. I thought the first movie was just such a creepy film. This is one that hopefully someday gets a Blu-ray release as well. It's one of those so bad it's good movies, Carnival of Blood, and it's like set in Coney Island, and it's just so cheesy and so strange, but I always really like this. And it has on here too a hidden trailer for like this weird adult carnival movie, which I don't think that Something Weird Video ever released. So I don't even know if they have a print of it or even one exists. But here's another weird one that I always liked. There was kind of a knockoff of Last House on the Left, and it's like Cage Terror, and there's like this couple goes out in the woods, and there's these two weird like criminals that sing like folk songs and stuff, or like kind of traipsing around behind them and everything, but you never hear about this. And it's one of those bad releases where it's like the title of the movie, like halfway through the movie, is like burned into the actual film, almost like a timestamp or something you would see like on TV. They would say like the TV network. I don't know why it's like this, and there's never been any other releases for this movie, so it's only ever been this really poor release with this burned in, you know, time code thing. It's another one I always liked here. This was called The Clown at Midnight, which was kind of like the film Stage Fright. It was kind of like a copy, a little bit of Stage Fright, about people like cleaning up this old theater, and then someone was going, trying to put these back, and like was going and like killing them off in the theater. Not an amazing movie, but one that I always liked. I don't think Cannibal Apocalypse has ever come to Blu-ray in the US. This is one I've always talked about. Crawl Space, another one, a TV movie I always liked, about this homeless man living in the crawl space of this old couple's house. But always absolutely love that. I'll always talk about that and Bad Ronald, which is actually finally coming. There's no date yet, but Warner Archive is going to be releasing that one coming up. You know, I can't wait for them to announce that and to see what it looks like in, you know, HD, because I've only ever seen, like, you know, just so quality releases of those. And here, this is another one I always liked, Der Bunker. Another one you don't hear about. Artsploitation Films put this out. It's this weird kid that was like, you don't know how old this kid was supposed to be. And he was like getting taught by his parents and stuff, and this weird guy that taught him, and it was like just such a strange movie. It kind of reminded me of like a Clifford kind of guy. It was just like odd. He was like obviously supposed to probably be like some guy who's like in his 30s, but acting like he's a kid, and it was just really peculiar. Another one here, pretty good, Dead West, that you don't hear people talk about much. Doom Asylum, of course, which came out recently from Arrow Video. And this is one of those ones I always thought was a shot-on-video one until I saw this Blu-ray. I'm like, no, this was not shot-on-video. Downrange I watched recently, and this was like a sniper that was kind of, these people went through this area of the desert, and the sniper kind of took out the tires of the car, and they were trapped and couldn't get away because the sniper had the rifle on them the whole time. It was one that, it's a region-free release, but watched that recently and really liked it. Like I said, I'm not going to talk about everything in here, though, but just like some of the ones that kind of catch my eye to mention as I go through. Of course, though, there's huge, like, amazing movies that I'm just going over, but I kind of like to talk about the kind of weird, obscure ones. Here's one, too, that I really loved. This is a region-free release of a movie here called The Evil Within, and Michael Berryman stars in this movie, and it's a film that was shot over a period of years and years, and the director didn't even end up getting to finish editing it. He died. And it's such a trippy, creepy movie about this guy who has some learning disabilities, and he's like sees another version of himself who's like a super smart genius version of himself, and he's like telling him to kill people and do all these crazy things. But it's so weird watching this because you see all the actors like from years ago, you know, it just came out like a year or two ago, but it's like footage of them from like 15 years ago. This is another one I really love called End of the Line, and this is all set in a subway. I love movies in subway tunnels and everything, and this was like the apocalypse happened while these people were in the subway, and really weird things were going on down there. You never hear about this movie. Let me think of any other ones here going across that are interesting ones. Ed Gein. They haven't done one of these serial killer movies, you know, in a long time. They were doing so many of them, like around like 2000, like to 2003 or 4. There's like so many of those serial killer films, and there hasn't been one for years. Like at least like that I can really think of, that was like a big one. Big release. This one isn't exactly horror, but I believe this is from the same director of the movie Razorback. This is about these group of these kids going on like an expedition, kind of like hiking trip, and there's like these bad guys out there. But that was a pretty cool one. here, let me, like I said, I'm making sure to show the tops as well. Fortress, this is the newer edition of that. I got the media book. I always really liked this movie. The sequel, though, it wasn't that good. It was one of those ones where it's like, it's okay, but it's almost sort of like not worth watching, because the first one was such a cool movie. The sequel was kind of like one of those ones where it was kind of like, the story was sort of done and you like really don't want to see more of it because it's kind of like it can kind of ruin the other one. It was one of those kind of ones. It was, watchable, but nothing really absolutely amazing. And this is one of those ones, I don't know why, I always liked this movie that was set like in a ghost rig. It was like one of those like oil rig ships, and I remember like weird things were going on in there. I hadn't watched this in years though, but some of those ones, like those direct-to-video ones from like 2000 and 2005, are kind of cool ones. This is the newest one of the newer ones I got. Incident at Ghostland. This is a region-free release of that. It's from the director of Martyrs, which is a great movie. It's one of those really hard to watch films, though, because it's just super violent and everything that's going on in it. Grandmother's House. This is one of the ones I've mentioned in the past in the out-of-print videos. And this was like, these kids go to stay with their grandparents, and there's something really odd going on with them. This one's really hard to find. If you guys ever find this one cheap, definitely was one I would say is worth picking up. These are some of those Ghost House line, Ghost House Underground ones. They haven't done any of those. I think Sam Raimi produced these. This one I never actually watched, but they haven't done any of these ones in a while now. It's a number of years. Of course, The Greasy Strangler. It's I kind of consider this comedy, more kind of a comedy film, but an absolutely insane film. It's one of those movies that people were telling me to watch forever, and I finally saw it, and I'm like, how did I wait so long to watch this? It's this crazy guy who's going around covering himself with grease and strangling people to death, and it's got amazing music. And the one guy in it too, if you guys ever saw the ride, went on the ride, the Kilimanjaro Safari Ride in Animal Kingdom, he's actually acting in this, but he's been in a bunch of Adam Sandler movies as well, and he's in like the Red Stripe commercial. But just seeing, I don't know, I can never think of that Kilimanjaro Safari Ride the same after seeing him in this. I said, going to go across any other interesting ones I come across here. This is one of those Misha Barton movies that I really liked because it was just such a odd setting. She does a lot of these kind of odd horror movies these days, but I don't know, I kind of like her in these horror movies. This is one of my favorite ones she's done in a while, and it was all set in a storage center, and there was this weird kind of killer down there with her. But one of those ones I would definitely recommend you guys check out if you guys ever come across that one. Human Centipede. I don't know if you guys know, the director released a new edition of these, like in a steelbook. Has all the movies together where you guys can watch them in like, a continuous cut of the film. And I think it has a couple new making of things of that as well. I know Heathers is coming out soon from Arrow Video. Is going to be a new release of that one. Always really liked that movie. I know they had the Remake TV show, and then like there's a lot of controversy with it, and it's not, I don't know if it's ever going to air or somebody else is going to pick it up or not. Hopefully, I'd like to. I think the first episode like went on demand or something. I would like to see one of them though. Hitcher in the Dark here. This is one I hope a Blu-ray comes out, because this one has a lot of sound problems in it. Like kind of bad sound, and like maybe like 10 minutes of the movie is terrible. And it's I don't know who directed this one. Wasn't it Roberto Lenzi? Who. He did a bunch of different stuff, but this was the camper. I'm pretty sure it was the same exact camper that was used in Troll 2, was used in this movie, and I think this was shot in Florida during spring break. There's another movie, too, that's real rare, and I think 88 Films is going to be releasing it on Blu-ray. It's never had a DVD or anything released ever, but I always liked that movie, Hitcher in the Dark. And like I said, hopefully that gets a Blu-ray release down the line. Just moving all this stuff out of the way. Another Misha Barton one that was pretty good because it was very creepy was I Will Follow You Into the Dark. This was her in this kind of like, what was this, like a apartment complex she goes into, and there was some extremely creepy sequences in this one, like really genuinely like terrifying stuff in there. Let's see here. Like I said, I'm trying to make sure you can get a look at the tops as well. Hopefully the camera doesn't overheat like it did last time. It's not as hot today, so it should be okay. This one here, In Fear, this was one that was like kind of like that movie Dead End. I forgot to talk about that one this time. It's up here, yeah, Dead End. It was a Lynn Shay film that she was in, and like people were driving down this road and weird things started to happen. Really love that movie. Hopefully that gets a widescreen release someday. But this movie's kind of got that same vibe here about like this couple going down a road and like weird things start to happen to them along the way. Think of see any other ones here going across. Jack the Reaper, I like that because this was shot in like a kind of like a theme park kind of place, and odd things start to happen to the people that are there. Another one of those movies. I love movies set in theme parks. There's a new one coming out that's like set at like a kind of like a haunted attraction, and the people there are getting killed off for real. I think it's going to get like a big theatrical release. It's like the first of those movies like that getting a theatrical release, because there's been like dozens of those type of films, you know, indie ones, but that's the first like big release one. Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane, which I always think of as a movie that's like a real double feature kind of film to Bad Ronald, because the actor who plays Bad Ronald is in this movie, and it's Jodie Foster. It was one of her early movies when she was like living in this house by herself because something happened to her parents, and it was just sort of weird things. It was a really, really good movie though. I think here, Let Sleeping Corpses Lie. Another one I can't believe doesn't have a Blu-ray release. Langoliers, I would love to see that on Blu-ray. I don't even know if it would be possible if they actually have, if it was, because I think it might have been just edited on videotape. I don't know if they actually edited it on film. This is a great one here from Shivers Entertainment. This really ridiculous movie that was like a knockoff of Gremlins, Little Devils, The Birth. I really like that. I love those kind of like Gremlins knockoff type films. Here, let's see what else there is here to show. It's interesting. Of course, Mr. Ice Cream Man, I've talked about that in the past. This one is not the Clint Howard one. This is another one that had this kind of vibe to it that was like almost like it was made by like a kids school group or something. Like, you know, like they have those kids programs that like do video production. It almost felt like a deranged thing that like some kids made. And I don't know why it had that kind of vibe. As a kid too, I was even in like a group like that where they made little shorts and everything. This is another one. I think this is coming out to Blu-ray soon. Murder Rock, a Lucio Fulci film. This is pretty good, cool music and stuff. Really good synth and everything in this one. Another one here too, which hopefully gets a Blu-ray release, and especially too with the uncut edition Murder Set Pieces. I like this mainly because it was shot in Vegas, and they kind of like, you know, a lot of it I think was just shot without permission, so it was a lot of stuff walking down the Vegas Strip. A lot of movies do that though. You know, shoot on the strip and then they just sort of blur out the faces. I've seen that in some indie ones. Maximum Overdrive, which is Vestron Video, is going to be putting that out soon on Blu-ray, so I can't wait to see that. I know they can't find the cut stuff because I know there was like a more of an uncut version that Stephen King like thought they said he had, but then he says he doesn't. So who knows if that will ever be seen? That like lost, you know, more like over, you know, the stuff they had to cut for the R rating, you know, edition when that came to theaters. Over here, like the Omen films, I think all the Omen films except for like the fourth one, I think, have come to Blu-ray. So hopefully sometime that one will come to Blu-ray as well. I don't like this edition though. I hope they do a better one. It's really flimsy, kind of like a smushed up edition. This one too, Pinocchio's Revenge. I always liked this as a kid too. It's kind of like a knockoff of Chucky, but it was like a killer Pinocchio doll, and it was like ridiculous deaths and everything in it. And here, Pigs, that was one that I really liked. Proxy, that was a really pretty cool movie. See any other ones? Phantom of the Mall, and Pauly Shore actually talked about this one on Instagram recently. This is another real rare one, but it was like a killer in a mall killing everybody off because he, like, in the opening you see someone get burned in this fire and they're kind of getting revenge in the mall. Penance, this was like a really intense, kind of crazy movie. You never hear anyone talk about it. You know, everyone's in this too, like Tony Todd, Michael Rooker, James Duvall. This is like the director's cut of that. Of course, People Under the Stairs, Phantom of the Paradise are ones I love. Perfume, this is the Blu-ray of that one. Pretty sure this was a region-free release, but this is like a killer guy who's like doing weird stuff with perfume fragrances, but amazing. And the last like 10 minutes of this movie are insane. See any other ones? This is like such a fun, cheesy movie. Revolution 666. I don't even know if you can buy this anymore, because I don't even know if the company's around anymore. Whacked Movies. Hopefully you guys can still get it, because it was like the most insane, and there's like this guy acting in it who's like the DJ, this older guy, and it's like sometimes I love like kind of questionable actors, and like he's like some really questionable kind of acting in it that's really fun. Sacrament here. This is another film called Sacrament. There's like I think one other one called that. This one was pretty good, though. This was, like, one of those ones that Walmart had, and, like, that was, like, the only place I think you could get it. But it was, like, kind of like one of those movies where it was, like, Walmart's has this one? But this was one of the other ones that I liked, filmed at a theme park, Scream Park. And it's, like, Doug Bradley's in this one, is, like, the owner of the Scream Park, and he wants to figure out how to get people to come to it. So he hires people to, you know, kill people there to, you know, try and get, you know, people to actually start coming to the park. He's like, people want to go to the park where the things have happened or the murders have happened. It's like one of these ridiculous scenes of him talking about it, but I love it. Great movie, all set, like I said, in a theme park. Over here too, this one, Summer Camp Nightmare. This is a bootleg of this. At one point this was going to come out. I think like a company was going to release it, and then it ended up not happening. But this is a great one. I used to watch this one as a kid all the time. I don't think anywhere in the world there has been a official DVD of this movie. And it's, you know, it's only PG-13, but it's kind of got like a vibe, sort of Sleepaway Camp. Kind of. I don't know. I always liked it. It was one of those ones I was allowed to watch too, because it was PG-13, so I could see it as a kid. Let's see any other interesting ones here. This is one. I don't think this ever came out in the U.S. on DVD or Blu-ray or anything. This is a region-free release of a movie here called Scare Campaign. This is like people doing a show kind of like Scare Tactics, but of course, though, the people there are all getting killed off, and it's kind of like them dealing with all that. Of course, this is the one I mentioned earlier, Stage Fright. This is one of the, I think this company like Exposure Cinema release. I have a couple different ones of this one actually in this case. Sometimes if I have like a lot of editions of something, I put them in the same case. So I have like lots of discs in here. So I have like the US one in there. You know, a lot of times it's to save space. Sometimes I put them in like the little sleeve, white sleeve things to kind of, like I said, to save space. See any other interesting ones here. Saturday the 14th. Both of these ones are coming out soon from Shout Factory. Scream Factory is putting those out. Those ones were ones that were, at one point, very, very rare ones. This one I really like. Stuart Gordon's film with Mina Savardi called Stuck, and this was based on a true thing that happened about Mina Savardi's character. Well, the lights went out, so you can still see it pretty well, though. But it got too hot again. So, yes, I had to, you know, turn that off. Anytime I run the flash on here, it seems like it does that. Gets hot. I don't know why the iPhone does that. Over here, though, are two editions here of Suspiria. I love this movie here. I'm really interested in seeing the new remake, though, of this. I'm really wondering how it's going to be and everything. This is, you know, the Synapse one, and then one from Umbrella Entertainment. Society, that's one of my favorite Arrow releases. That one, I've watched that a lot, like forever. Like, remember when I first saw that movie years ago? I thought that was like an amazing, just such a strange, super twisted movie. Of course, over here, this you know, Sleepaway Camp films, Tales from the Hood, which I can't wait to see the part 2. I think that comes out, I think it's October 2nd or something like that is when that releases. But you know, I'm trying not to see too many clips or anything of that, because I think they only released like a TV spot or something for it. But I can't wait to see that. You know, you know, this is one of those ones too. I used to watch that one when that first came out so many times. So really, really excited to see, you know, how it is and everything. And people who have seen it said it's really good, though, so I really can't wait on that one. Over here, too, I think you can still see it pretty well. Valentine, that's one, too. I can't believe that one still hasn't come to Blu-ray. I feel like that one might come out as like a Warner Archive title, you know, like one of their releases, which would be great if they did put that out. It's not amazing or anything, but I did remember liking that. The Urban Legend ones, those ones are all coming out from Shout Factory soon as well, like brand new editions of those ones. This is the release from Viavision that has all of them together in here, but I think Shout's going to have like some new features and all that kind of stuff on theirs. Let's see any other interesting ones here to show. This is where it kind of gets out of order a little bit down here. Like, especially over there, it's kind of like a lot of these I still need to kind of move around. These are all of the collections. I don't think Shout Factory does as many of these anymore. Every so often they release them, the double pack ones. They were like Ghost House and The Witchery, Outing and The Godsend. This one I got recently. Ordered this one, Extra. This is like a really, really peculiar zombie movie. And then, you know, there's the new edition coming out soon of Zombie. And there's going to be all these different covers on it. Like, there's the one, I think the one is like this image, a similar image to this. And then there's going to be one that has like that you know, plank of wood going near the eyeball. And then there's like, I think one of the zombie's face itself. It's kind of like, yeah, it's pretty much this image. Sort of changed around a little bit, sort of animated, but it's really cool. There's so many different editions of that one coming out. And I only kept this one too because it says Zombie 2 on it, which is the title it was in, you know, in the UK and other countries. This is an interesting one. You never hear anyone talk about. This is like one of the last cannibal movies before Eli Roth's Green Inferno, called Welcome to the Jungle. And this was actually kind of okay. I can't remember if it was done found footage. I have not watched this in a long time, but remember, I think it was pretty cool because it was sort of really one of the only you know, like I said, cannibal movies in years. Other than that, though, I think you can see it decent back there. Let's see if you know, the ones on the top are like let's see, that's like The Walking Dead back there, Wind Chill, the Waxwork films, Would You Rather, Wicker Park, which that's sort of not a horror one. That doesn't exactly fit there. Willard, which hopefully that one too is another one that comes to Blu-ray. Always really like that one. I also wanted to make sure to show some stuff on the top here. I showed this recently in a video, this really cool Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation bus thing here. It's also one of the Evil Dead busts up there, and I did a video showing those in detail. This is one of the few of the Walking Dead heads that I have. I don't think they're doing them as much anymore. That was the one that I really like with the screwdriver in the eye. And I think I remember, I think I showed that in a video buying that, one of the shopping videos. I can't remember for sure. But up here, though, is some sets here, like of the Monsters TV series, Blood Harvest, which is a great Tiny Tim movie, and that one is one of those releases you can't get anymore because, like, the director didn't like the title or something, so they ended up having to pull that release. And then here's like the In the Deep one. This is like the original release that got pulled from the shelves of 47 Meters Down, the Mandy Moore film. And I never actually looked at this edition, so I don't know if there was anything different, like from the movie that they had to cut for the PG-13 one. I don't know if it's the exact same cut of the movie or not. And up here, though, is some steelbooks like of A Quiet Place. This is the edition there of the Just Before Dawn, one of the, I think it was the German release one there. And then some of the toys up here. And like I said, some of the Arrow Video ones that are around the top up here. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4K up there. The House box set. Stranger Things tape. The Cannibal Ferox. Another copy of Return of the Living Dead Part 2. This is a cool VHS style box for Puppet Masters. I can't wait till to see that new Puppet Masters one. It's coming out in, you know, the end of this month. So anyway, though, guys, that's all for my video showing my entire horror DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K collection. Pretty much, like I said, tried to go through all the stuff. Sorry the light, you know, went out at the end. It seems like right when it gets to about that spot, there's when the, you know, it starts to overheat. And then, like last time, though, when I did it before, it got so overheated that the phone turned off, and I had to run it under a fan to get it turned back on. So it wasn't good, but luckily enough, it didn't get to that point today. But, you know, in the comments below, too, let me know some of your favorite horror you know, titles as well, you know, some of your favorite horror movies, and let me know too what you guys thought about any of the ones that I mentioned or talked about, if you guys have seen any of those ones. Also, let me know any other kind of these videos you guys would like me to do, like any specific type ones about like certain types of horror films or certain types of comedies, all that kind of stuff, because I haven't done any of those ones in a while as well. So let me know in the comments below any of those kind of videos you'd like me to do in the future. But anyway, though, guys, thanks so much for watching, subscribing, and I'll see you guys later.